Today I'm going to talk about animal communication, and it's such an interesting and vast subject. And if you're interested in this, then stay tuned. My name is Helena Lindblom, and I work as a medium and a healer since many years back. And I have been a teacher within these subjects for many years as well. When we talk to each other or animals, we automatically create an energy, which is then interpreted into images, symbols, or however we perceive it. It is created. We are thinking of something that we have experienced, and that creates in our minds this image. And this is how people are picking it up in their own way, obviously, and our pets as well. So our pets also perceives this. Talking to a pet is not so much about using our vocabulary, but more with feelings and emotions. So when we train our pets, it's important to remember this, because this is how they perceive us. When we want our pet to do something in particular, we need to show them what we want them to do and not what we don't want to happen. Now, if we are stressed when we come home from work, for instance, we could be irritable, we can be upset, and we have this inner stress. Then our pets does not know and understand this emotional state of ours is actually from our work conditions. But normally the pets think they're the reason that we are angry or annoyed or frustrated. If you are a person who loves animals, all animals will perceive these feelings that you have, as well as the opposite. Even wild animals perceive the love that we have for animals, or possibly that we don't have love for them. It's not that we actually have to pet them or look them deep into their eyes in a certain way for them to perceive these feelings that we have. It is an energy that we are. And the one that we give out, that is what they perceive. They are sensitive to our aura, our energy field. And this is what they're picking up. The contact with animals always takes place through our heart, on that heart level, heart to heart. There could be some occasions that the family has already acquired cars and houses and boat, a summer house and other things, and now they're going to get themselves a pet, much like an interior detail. In that detail will have to fit into their family. Now the pets are definitely going to be well taken care of with food and water and exercise possibly and veterinary care, but what they won't get in these circumstances, they're not getting that spiritual connection, the love, the caring, and the soul communication, which is very often missing, unfortunately. That's what they need. Their people are their whole lives, and they would not survive without them. They are adopted into the family and also need to be an equal member of the family. If not, then they will feel left out. Those who have a good communication with their human family are also much easier to communicate with because they are more used to doing so. And animal communication is not telepathy. Telepathy is mind-to-mind communication, which we are doing when we, as mediums, communicate with loved ones in the spirit world. And many of the, for instance, indigenous people in around the world, for instance, like Aborigines in Australia, they still make extensive use of it, and that's why they still have it. But most people in the modern world, we have more or less forgotten about it, that these abilities lie dormant in our minds, but we're not using them. But animals actually use telepathy for their survival. We communicate with animals from our heart, the heart-to-heart connection at that level, the intuitive level. Feelings and experiences and emotions, just as the psychics do with humans. And animals love to communicate with us when we enable this communication to take place. The animals are always very honest. They never lie. They're super, super sensitive, and they are very authentic in their personality as well. They don't try to be something they're not, or they don't try to change so they will be more liked. They are who they are. Most people bring their pets to an animal communicator as a last resort. They have usually tried everything before with training and courses and veterinarians, etc., which are great in itself, but they're lacking this communication with their pet. Traumas in animals, in our pets, I should say, is usually based on a misunderstanding between the human and their pet. Pets usually also reflect their owner in some way, i.e., or for instance, if the owner has back problems, really suffer from back problems or stomach ache or tummy problems for some reason, etc., etc. If this is the case, if you recognize this in your own pet, then just look them in the eye and ask them not to take your problems on board, but that you can take care of them yourself and work them out. And sometimes this can actually work because our pets live so close together with us and want to take the pressure off us, and thus in so doing helping us with this. They want to help us and lighten us, and they want to lighten our burdens so that we can live a happier life and feel better. And that's what they do. They want to help us. And that's why they are here on Earth. All animals are here to help the humans. And so, for example, this is just an example. A dog barks heavily or attacks people or other animals, or really is marking its territory, and generally really unruly. And this does not come or stem from a previous trauma in the dog or in the dog's past, but it is usually then a reflection of the owner and the owner's life situation. It might actually be that the owner needs them to learn to put their foot down or speak up or protect their own energy or something like that. And that sometimes is how the dog then demonstrates this to teach their human. It is a reflection so that the owner can see what the dog is doing and then recognize this in themselves with this behavior. And it can also be the other side of the spectrum, that the owner is too aggressive so that the dog behaves in the same way to demonstrate this. And we as pet owners also perceive this communication from our pets. We are, if we are open to it, we actually receive it. I'll give you an example. We're sitting and working away in front of the computer, and all of a sudden we might perceive that our dog or cat or whatever pet we have is thirsty or hungry or wants to go for a walk or whatever. And it's not something that we hear or see, but we get an impression of this. And the more we follow this prompt, the more this becomes a natural interaction with our pet. So talk to your pet, preferably straight out, and explain to them what is happening in your life and how you feel and you sense and experience things. So involve them more into your life. And especially if there is going to be big changes in your life, talk to them about it so they don't have to worry or they don't have to be afraid or feel uncertain about things. Explain to them so that they understand what is happening. For instance, that could you possibly be moving to a new house, or you're going to be traveling, or possibly going on holiday or whatever it is. And if you have planned a holiday without your pet, now talk to them and also tell them how wonderful it will be when you come back home after possibly a week or two and meet them again and focus on that meeting again. And when you are on this holiday, you can imagine at night, for instance, before you go to bed, how you stroke them and how their fur feels. And when you do this, how you experience it. And talk to them in your mind. And imagine this in your mind as if it is actually happening in the physical. For our pets, this is a fact, a reality. They perceive this to be happening right then and there. For an animal, thoughts are reality, just like it is when we are in spirit. It's real to them, and they are aware of us and our thoughts. Animals are extremely sensitive to the physical and mental states of the humans to whom they are linked, very closely linked to. So animals are so far ahead of us when it comes to emotions and this sensitivity. They are so sensitive and perceptive of this communication, even if they don't always understand it. They are connected to you and they are perceiving your energy. An animal communicator can help people to better understand their own behavior towards their pet and how the animal perceives them. Now, when many people work with animal communication only, as in they're communicating with the pet and not actually giving them healing, they prefer to work without the pet owner being involved in this, because this is how they can then minimize the possibility of picking up what the owner perceives to be the problem, instead of it actually being the animal that is communicating this. And the pet's perception is normally completely different from the owner's. Now, animals don't normally have a behavioral problem unless there is something or someone behind their behavior. For instance, that, as I said before, or mentioned before, that the pets want to teach and tell their owner something special. There is so much misunderstanding that happens between the owner and their pet. Now, everyone can learn to communicate with animals. It is simply a matter of opening up our sensitivity to it and learning to interpret what is being perceived. Now, communication takes place through feelings and emotions and images, etc. Interpreting is usually about being in a receptive state, but we can also send out the information when we want to teach them or tell them something in particular. And as pet owners, we can definitely learn how our own pets perceive what we're trying to communicate with them. This bond of love that is there also creates a greater ease for this communication to take place. We can send out a sense of security by creating that feeling within us. We transmit it through feelings and images and sounds and etc. So when it comes to communicating with our pets, then our pets do not perceive the actual vocabulary, the words that we're using as such. They are picking up on our energy. If we are upset, angry, irritated, and calling, for instance, the dog back, the dog is not going to listen to that. They sense your irritation, they sense your anger, for instance, and so they're not going to obey that. So we need to learn about ourselves as well as pet owners and how we can handle and deal with these situations in a better way, how we can create this inner condition that is of peace, of tranquility, of love and emotions which are really positive. And that they will respond to, not the opposite, not in the way we want them to respond anyway. So this is how we can do our part when it comes to this communication. But just remember that we can't be one thing today and something completely different tomorrow. It takes time to learn. Now, if we haven't done this before, it will take some time. So be patient, be tolerant with yourself. The animals are not doing anything wrong. It's just we who are not there to be able to communicate and understand this communication that is actually taking place all the time. We just need to be better at this, become more sensitive, more open to this communication and the energies that we are using or that is being used in this. So with that said, I wish you all the best and good luck with this, and leave me a comment down below about your experiences with animals and this communication, if you have any. I would love to find out about them. Also, if you like this video, thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you haven't done it already. Then YouTube will send you more of my videos or similar videos like mine. So with that said, take care and all the best. And I'll see you in the next one.